It's rarely described as easy, fun, or simple. Grant writing is so often a daunting task, and many struggle to produce a highly competitive proposal. As anyone who has researched grant prospects knows, the opportunities for funding can be few and far between. Stay tuned to Freedom from Fire to find out how we've secured a couple funding opportunities to help our citizens stay safe. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Deputy Fire Commissioner of Operations, Gary Loesch, here at Freedom from Fire. We aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to our local safety partners. On today's episode, we're going to highlight 3 remarkable grants that have been awarded to the Philadelphia Fire Department. The first award comes from the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program for Fire Ground Survival Training. In 2014, a fatal fire claimed the life of Lieutenant Joyce Craig. This grant provides a comprehensive fire ground survival training program to help prevent similar situations in the future. The second award is a port security grant for 2 boats and shipboard training. This allows the department to purchase new and improved boats for our Marine units. And lastly, we have the Fire Prevention and Safety Grant. Philadelphia has a significantly larger smoke alarm resource because the city is so densely populated with home dwellings. The grant will help us get smoke alarms into citizens' homes, and we all know that smoke alarms save lives. Here with me today, we have several guests to discuss these 3 newly awarded grants. Please let me introduce, to my left, Natasha Now, Assistant Deputy Commissioner of Finance and Administration, 15-year veteran firefighter Namor Brown, Fire Academy Director Deputy Chief Joe Schul, and firefighter Christopher Wynn. Thank you all for joining us today. So Natasha, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became onto the Philadelphia Fire Department?
Absolutely. I've been with the Philadelphia Fire Department for about 11 months. Okay. Arrived in December of last year. And prior to that, I worked in local government, many small towns, some of which include Columbia, Connecticut. I was a town manager before that. And then prior to that, I actually worked in Chester County nearby as a finance HR director. So a lot of work in fiscal, a lot of work in admin, a lot of work in HR, but for the fire department here, my charge is to assist with any finance, admin, HR system improvements, trying to find efficiencies where we can make things better as we reorganize the department. So. Okay,
well, it's great having you, and we were all very happy when a civilian came on board to give us the insight in the fire department.
No problem.
Namor, can you give us a little background on yourself, please?
Sure. Born and raised in Philadelphia. I got on the job because, just like in training in the academy, my daughter stopped breathing. Fire department came out. My mother-in-law tossed my daughter to Captain Crawford at the time. He gave her CPR and brought her back to life. So after that, I wanted to become a firefighter. I wanted to hopefully do the same thing for somebody. And since then, I've had the pleasure to work with Captain Crawford. He's met my daughter. So that just sparked something in me, and I passed the test, and I'm just happy to be here.
Well, it's a great human story. That's awesome, and obviously we're glad to have you in the department and everything you do for us. Chief Joe Schul.
As you said, my name is Joe Schuley. I'm a deputy chief and the director of the academy. Myself, along with Chief Warren Joyner and Captain Rob Jeter, are tasked with directing the training, both on-the-job training and the cadet training program, both for firefighters and paramedics for the fire department.
Awesome. And, you know, we've worked together a while and do a heck of a job up there.
Nice.
And then Chris Wynn.
Yes, Chief. My name's Christopher Wynn, firefighter. Got on in 2013. Assigned to Ladder 13 since then. And as of now, I'm detailed to TSU working on projects including aeroscope, ladder, and also the new fireboats. There's going to be 2, so it should be interesting.
And also you're my backup aide.
Absolutely. Here to help.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. So what we want to discuss a little bit is about these, all the different grants that we recently received. So first question I'd like to throw out to you all is, and Natasha, you can start here, is who initiates the proposals for grants?
So it's an interesting question because it's probably different every time, and it probably depends on the topic area of the grant. So I would say anybody and everybody, but mostly I would say that the deputy commissioners and the fire commissioner himself definitely have a role in deciding what funding we want to try to go for, where we might have funding gaps in our budget, where our needs are, and to try to put certain programs forward. That being said, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a chief. So I worked very closely with Namor here on the fire prevention and safety grant. He showed really strong initiative and desire and a lot of passion to start writing that grant. You know, it starts with, you know, coming down the hallway and just coming to my office and saying, hey, I think this is a really great idea. What do you think? And I think a lot of that extends to all realms of our world. You know, working with lieutenants and firefighters on boat grants. I wasn't directly involved with the AFG grant for training that we'll talk about in a little bit, but every player has a role. But where it starts, it goes through a series of motions after that. So once we've identified that we want to go for a grant and that we can apply and that we have the capability to do so, then we just make sure that all of the funding can be secured. So the fiscal director gets involved, all of our admin staff that needs to work with how the budget works into the play, and as well as our partner agencies, interdepartmental. One
of the great things of what you just said there then is everybody in the fire department has a shot. If they find something that needs either funding or has an idea, they have a way to, and we'll discuss that in a little while, how to approach the administration and your office to get the wheels rolling, really.
Yep, I think our job is to be here as support and to identify the need and talk out the idea, and then to see what we can do to move it forward, or maybe identify an alternative time that we can talk about grants that won't be for that time frame that we're talking about.
So basically we said, you know, it definitely sounds like it's a true team effort, obviously, and it's collaboratively researched and written. So, like I said, having everybody getting a piece of the pie, and even this show showing that and getting it out there, that anybody that sees the information or sees something, no matter how obscure it is, we can go after it and look for things.
Yeah, all they need to do is bring the idea to the administration, and then we can work collectively with the operational side to make sure that everything can work together.
Okay, so tell me, what needs to be outlined or addressed when writing a grant?
Well, I guess it depends. The notice of funding opportunity, or commonly referred to as the NOFO, kind of identifies the criteria and the topic areas that a grant wants to see. So there's some kind of steering committee that typically reviews each application based on this set criteria. So for the boat this year, the notice to funding opportunity changed a little bit, and they added a new aspect of cybersecurity. Was one of the things that they wanted to see. So we would go through and see if we can compile certain projects that would be competitive to meet those criteria. We weren't able to do the cybersecurity portion, but we hit every single other criteria they were looking for securing a port.
Okay.
So
I got to ask, obviously we know you do, but does anyone else here have any experience writing grants?
No, that was, I'm batting 1,000. So just one and done, one and done.
One and done?
Yeah, one and done.
First time ever helping on one, but have no prior experience in grant writing.
Chief?
No, we funneled some information through to the International a few years back when I was the union president, but no direct experience in writing them.
Yeah, I've been fortunate when I was in a position up at the academy. I watched the process. I was the guy that actually implemented everything that came from the grant, but I didn't actually write it. But I did learn some about it, about the timelines and where you have to get drawdowns and things like that?
I would say probably the administration might lead the effort, but we're by no means the subject matter experts, so we have to garner certain content to be able to compile a competitive grant. And some of that is done through the Office of Grants, which is in the city. They also have helped us with some narrative writing, so.
Okay. One question I'd like to ask is, on these particular grants we're talking about today, do we know, did you expect to receive these awards? I mean, you're really the one that gets the information and knows whether it's coming or not.
I'm looking at Namor specifically because I think when we were writing that grant, correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't really think that we had that great of a shot of it getting funded. So we were very happy when we got the notice.
Well, we were very aggressive with it. One thing that we try to do is when we come to work is say, how can we do better, right? How can we, there's a need and how do we address that need? So in writing the grant, seeing that the need that we have and the more we looked into it, the more we noticed there was more need. So, you know, we got the okay and we became very aggressive and proud to say that we got it. We got it.
Well, I can definitely tell the citizens of Philadelphia are glad that you were that driven to try to get this grant.
Appreciate it.
I think with the fire ground and survival training, we were a little bit more confident just because of the incident that occurred, but.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break, but before we do, our LaSalle reporters went to work quizzing more people on what they know about cold weather safety. Then, stay tuned for more Freedom from Fire.
Hello, my name is Rosemary Rodriguez. I am at LaSalle University. Today I will be quizzing students' knowledge about fire safety during the cold weather. How far should you keep space heaters away from flammable items such as paper and rugs? 1.5 feet, 3 feet, or 5 feet?
3 feet.
3 feet.
3 feet? 3 feet? 3 feet is right. Space heaters need space. You should also unplug them when leaving your home or going to bed. If you lose power, you may use a movable generator to power some of your home appliances. Where should you place the generator? On the main level of your home, basement, or outside?
Basement. On the main level.
Outside.
Outside is right. Never operate a generator indoors because it can fill your home with deadly carbon gas. If you are going away during cold weather, you should still leave the heat on in your home so the pipes won't freeze. What is the recommended temperature you should set your thermostat to? No less than 55 degrees, no less than 40 degrees, or 33 degrees.
55 degrees. No less than 55 degrees.
55 degrees.
No less than 55 degrees is right. How often should you have your chimney and heating equipment cleaned and checked? Once every 3 years, every other year, or every year?
Every other year?
Once every 3 years.
Every year.
Not only will yearly cleaning and checking keep you safe, but it will increase efficiency, saving you money. The temperature is 5 degrees. The wind chill is 30 miles per hour. It feels like it's negative 19 degrees. How quickly will you get frostbite if you're outside and have exposed skin? An hour, 30 minutes, or 10 minutes?
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Protect yourself from frostbite and hypothermia by wearing warm clothing with many layers. True or false? If you become stranded during a winter storm in your vehicle, you should try to sleep in order to conserve body energy and temperature.
True. True.
It's false.
False. If you're not awake to increase body energy and temperature and circulation, you will freeze to death. How much milk and bread should you buy before a predicted snowstorm? Only what you need if you're out of them. 1 gallon and 1 loaf. All of the milk and bread in stock.
All in the milk and bread and stock.
That is what we do in Philadelphia. I hope you guys learned something about fire safety during the cold weather. Make sure to inform your friends and family about the new information you learned. Thanks for watching.
Commissioner of Operations, Gary Loesch. Today we're discussing several grants that have been awarded to the Philadelphia Fire Department. My guests are Natasha Now, Assistant Deputy Commissioner of Finance and Administration, 15-year veteran firefighter Namor Brown, Fire Academy Director Deputy Chief Joseph Schul, and firefighter Christopher Wynn. So what we were talking about is the different ways that the grants and who had experience on the grants, getting them, and what we did to get them. So we know we've been awarded 4 different grants. So how much does that come up to? And
So total for all 4, we have 1 fire prevention and safety grant, 1 assistance to firefighters grant, and actually 2 port security grants. Total federal award would be about $4.7 million. Of each of those, we were talking about $1 million for the smoke alarms for the fire prevention and safety grant, $2.6 million for the assistance to firefighters grant for the fire ground survival training. And then for the 2 port security grants, they come out to a little bit over $1.2 million. And that's 2 boats as well as shipboard training.
that's pretty impressive. So let's talk about the guidelines expressing actually how the funds can be used, exactly what the criteria is.
So essentially when you write a grant, you are required to set up a very detailed budget. So you have to identify what items you're going to be spending your money on. Those can be separated into basically materials and supplies versus what we call Class 200, but it's basically professional services. So we have a little bit of flexibility, but what we set out in our budget is kind of what we have to stick to. So if we want to make a change, if something comes up that we need to amend our budget, we have to go to the grantor to get permission. So in this case, it would be DHS.
Okay, and what do they request? Do they want us to put an amendment in, or can it be just done over the phone?
Yep, we would have we have to do paperwork process. There's an amendment. So for example, with the fire prevention and safety grant, we're actually thinking that it might be wise to reallocate some money to more of a campaign effort rather than just smoke alarms. So we've discussed that a little bit with DHS already, and they've given an informal okay. So we know that in our planning we can accommodate for that, but we're about to put in the paperwork for the amendment for some money to be able to advertise some of our smoke alarm installation efforts. So,
So Namor, how does this smoke alarm award impact the smoke alarm initiative that we have here in the city of Philadelphia?
So what a lot of people fail to understand is the city does not provide a budget for the smoke alarm, so we're always looking for smoke alarms. So in order for us to get 26,000 smoke alarms over 2 years, it's a big win, because we do have our partners and we do appreciate them that they can continuously provide smoke alarms for us, but now to add another 26,000 for a population of 1.5 million people, it's a big win for us. So it's going to be a daunting task, but we're always up for the challenge. I mean, we're talking about the Philadelphia Fire Department. We're ready for anything.
How long did it take the process to get this grant, would you say? How long ago did you start in the process take?
I started it informally, and I just started looking. I went to other cities and I asked them how did they get the grant. So it took about 9 months total, and it was still a rough draft, and then sitting down, because the questions from the last grant to this grant were different. So I was tailoring to the old questions, and then when I actually got to see the new questions, we had to switch things around. So it took a good 9 months to get it done.
Okay.
and then we probably furiously wrote for
like
a month.
6 weeks.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6 weeks.
And 9 months probably wasn't enough, right?
No.
Never enough.
No.
To get to the deadline, right?
No.
I know that you were saying about 26,000 smoke alarms.
Sure.
Wasn't there another type that we also
Sure.
got money for?
So one of the things that we found out is we have adaptive smoke alarms. So we have a big population of people who are hard of hearing or deaf. So these alarms are coming in. They have a bed shaker. So when the alarm in the house goes off, the portable system will actually, it's kind of shaped like a hockey puck, and it'll actually shake the bed and wake the person up. So we're excited about that.
Some type of these go actually under your pillow or something,
Yeah,
correct?
so that hockey puck will either go under the pillow, under the mattress, or some people sleep on the couch. So we put them in the couch. So that's a good thing, because sometimes it's hard to understand people's limitations because some of us don't have those limitations. So reaching out to that community and getting all the information that we needed to fill out for the grant, and being able now to address those issues, again, it's a big win for us.
And I saw that some of the ones that you, before the grant was written, and you were testing different ones out from different manufacturers. Some of them even had like a strobe light, correct?
Yeah. So they're right now, they're in the process of figuring out which one they're going to use because, again, everything is a cost and there's a budget, and we want to be able to extend and buy as many as we can. So some of them do have a separate strobe, and some of them have a strobe attached to it's kind of like a clock attached to the clock. So we're in the process now of figuring out which one's going to work best for the city, so that we can, again, use that money wisely and spread it across.
And obviously, the firefighters with Philadelphia will be doing the installs.
Yes,
correct?
that's another thing. So to get smoke alarms inside your house, it's a 311. We're in conjunction with the city, the 311 system. You call 311, and it's just a series of simple questions, and you're going to get a fire truck, go to your house, and actually put it in for free. So if you have kids, this is a great opportunity for the kids to see the fire truck and see the firemen in action and actually get your house protected. We're going to put one in every level of your house. So if you have a 3-story house, we're going to put 4. And these are 10-year lithium batteries. So you don't, the old days of having to switch the batteries out and, putting the batteries in the remote control, those days are over. And it's a good thing now. So if you have kids, it's a great opportunity for the kids to be around firemen. We love coming out. Just call 311, give the information, and we'll process through us.
Thanks, Namor. Joe, can you give me some details on the comprehensive training program that is with the Fireground Survival Training?
Sure. So you guys mentioned earlier about Joyce Craig's line of duty death as being the impetus for the grant to be requested. But in my career, Chief, and I'm sure you would agree that we average about 1 traumatic line of duty death a year since I've come on the job in the past 25 years. And that number is too high, and it really shows that this is needed training for our people. The grant was very specifically written to be the International Association of Firefighters Fireground Survival Program. And it's a great program that they chose because this was a collaboration between labor, the International Association of Firefighters, management, the International Association of Fire Chiefs, as well as NIOSH, who are the scientists. So you had a real good collaboration of people building this course, which is going to come to us in Philadelphia. So it's a 3-day course, which is 1 day of classroom and then 2 days of hands-on. So it's which our firefighters really enjoy is a lot of hands-on rather than sitting in the classroom and watching PowerPoint presentations. Repetitive scenarios, so they'll get comfortable in doing them. In years past, there's been several studies that have been done on Mayday operations. And one of the glaring deficiencies across the country is that nobody seems to practice them very much.
Right.
And it kind of stands to reason because it's something real bad, right? So you don't practice it as much as you should or you want to. What this grant's going to allow us here in Philadelphia is we're going to have 2 sets of the props and a mobile trainer. So once we do this initial training over the next year, we'll be able to build out from there, make it more specific to Philadelphia as the years pass, and go out to the stations, in addition to continuing to bring companies up. So in our vision of the future, it's that we'll have companies up once or twice a year after this initial program just for continual Mayday operations training. And then in addition to that, we can build on it and build into more command level training, large scale scenarios with firefighters down, and really change the scenarios up to give our firefighters different scenarios to operate in a safe setting. So the good thing about this program is that it's divided into segments, and as you go through the list, like preventing the Mayday is the first segment. So it's going to talk about fire dynamic, which is how the fire will go through the structure. And it's going to talk about situational awareness, where you're positioning yourself on the fire ground to know where you're at. And then it's going to develop into more self-survival techniques Again, national stats have shown you that most successful Mayday operations are as a result of the firefighter that declared the Mayday safely evacuating himself.
That's awesome.
But then it does advance into, Mayday operations from the rapid intervention team perspective and command inspection. So it really is a comprehensive program.
Definitely sounds like it's training that we're definitely going to be looking forward to. Chris, on the port security grant, it allows for purchase of the much needed new fireboats. Can you give me some quick details as to how it relates to our Marine unit?
Absolutely, Chief. So currently we utilize 2 frontline Marine unit boats and 1 reserve. The 2 currently in use are very old, and the newer one's an 07. So we have an 07 and a 1940s fireboat. They're very slow and they're not very efficient for the new mission that we're going to go forward with, which is a rescue type mission, more on a fast rescue response more than a fire suppression response. So the new boats will both flow water, but their primary mission is life safety, pulling people out of the river. 1 boat will be on the Schuylkill, 1 boat will be on the Delaware. That's where the grants say they need to be placed.
So that's where they obviously have to be.
That's where they have to be. So currently on the Schuylkill River, the only entity is the fire department. It's the only entity for basically the Girard Point Bridge all the way up to the falls. So the Marine unit at Washington Avenue's response is very slow because of the distance to get there. The police as well are coming from there. So that being said, the response time for the police to Marine Unit 2 on the Schuylkill River is about 10 minutes. This time will be cut down, basically, it'll be instant. So we'll have availability on the Schuylkill River.
Man, that sounds awesome. I mean, all 3 of the grants sound like we could sit here and talk about them all day for how much, that each one of them has such a big part for us. Well, I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. And remember, if you would like to find out more about LaSalle TV, you can check out our social media sites. And if you are interested in learning about the Philadelphia Fire Department, visit our Facebook, Twitter, and web pages. I would like to once again thank all our guests for joining us today. Also would like to thank you for tuning in and watching. So until next time, remember, fire is everyone's fight. Stay safe and remain free from fire.